From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo.
Please welcome to the stage the host of In The NoCo and longtime voice of KUNC News, Erin O'Toole.
Last week, the In The NoCo team did something new, for us anyway. We gathered some plant experts from the CSU Extension and sat them down in front of a live audience to talk about caring for the plants in our lives as we move from a warm, dry winter into what looks to be a hot, dry summer. And it turns out people want this advice right now. Almost 200 people turned out for our first ever live episode taping held on the CSU campus in Fort Collins. This is exactly like taping in my home studio. Today, we're sharing a conversation from that night about lawn and turf triage and the science behind doing it wisely. For answers, we spoke with Alison O'Connor. Alison is a horticulture specialist from CSU Extension who advises people about different kinds of turf grass and how to keep your lawn healthy in a tough year like this one. Welcome, welcome. Alison, I want to start off by acknowledging that the idea of having a grass lawn in our dry climate is a bit divisive sometimes. How do you respond to the notion that it is somehow irresponsible to have a yard in Colorado?
Oh, such a great question. Thank you, Erin. So I will start things off by being a self-professed lawn nerd. Love the turf, love the grass.
Lawn nerd.
I'm a lawn nerd. It is true. But I do understand and I absolutely respect people's choices as to whether or not they want to have a lawn in their landscape. So I personally have 2 beagles. My beagles need a place to romp and roll and have a good time. But if you are an empty nester or maybe you don't have kids or pets at home, changing your lawn to something else is absolutely okay. I just don't think we should lawn shame. So we should always be respectful.
Okay.
And I would never shame you for growing tomatoes because I don't eat them, but don't shame me for growing a lawn.
And you've told me before that lawns actually can play host to some beneficial insects and things like that, so they actually do serve that kind of purpose as well.
Absolutely. Lawns are really an amazing microbial environment. So underneath the soil, there's earthworms and night crawlers and lots of different microbes. Lawns also, when we do get rain, they serve as a place that helps slow down some of the torrent rain that we get, so they help slow down some of that runoff. They, of course, sequester carbon dioxide, they give us oxygen, so they're a functioning plant. I think that's the important thing, is that lawns are still a plant, and we get maybe a bad rap with lawns because we mismanage them. But we're the ones, remember, turning on the water. Bluegrass doesn't go out and turn on your sprinklers. That comes to us.
Good reminder. So in a normal year, mid-April is the time for some of those projects where you're getting your yard ready for summer. I'm thinking about aerating the lawn, fertilizing, seeding. You told me when we talked before the show that this year in particular, you don't recommend those projects. Why?
I don't, because it all comes back to water. And so right now, we are in that turbulent season of, are we going to have another frost? Are we in the clear? Can you plant your tomatoes? Is it going to freeze again? And so turning on your sprinkler systems may not make sense where we're at right now. Inevitably, we might see snow on Mother's Day. Hopefully, actually, we see snow on Mother's Day.
I remember snow.
Yeah, always. Yeah. And so when we aerate, when we fertilize, all of that needs water to kind of fill those gaps from the aeration plugs. Fertilizer should always be watered in. And if Mother Nature isn't giving it to us, then maybe we just need to take a year off. So with fertilizer, your lawns are going to be fine. If you haven't fertilized yet, you don't need to fertilize now. You can save that until later on in the fall when maybe we'll get some more rain. And the same thing with aeration is that the longer those holes are open in your lawn, you could get weed pressure.
Okay. We don't want more weeds.
No, we don't need that problem.
Well, let's talk about watering. As I mentioned, some communities have imposed watering restrictions. Plenty of folks still intentionally want to use less water. How do you recommend people cut back but still water effectively?
The first thing is really do an irrigation audit. And that sounds scary, but you don't need to grab your tax forms or anything like that. All you need to find are some uniform containers. So yogurt cups, red Solo cups, tuna cans, whatever you have, and put those out in your lawn. Okay. Then run your system for 15 or 20 minutes and collect the water so you get an idea of how much you're putting down in a certain period of time. So in 15 minutes, if you put down a 1/4 inch of water, we'll keep the math simple.
Okay.
You know then in an hour, you will put down 1 inch of water. So that's number one. Figure out how much you're putting down, and then from there you can start to dial back. So if you put down 1 inch of water in 60 minutes, maybe you water for 45 minutes. The other trick is learn to turn your irrigation system on and off. So setting it and forgetting it is really easy and convenient, but it's not necessarily the way you're going to save water. And with the price of water, we all want to make sure we meet the budget. So run your system on need, when your lawn needs it, as opposed to a schedule. And then, since you have done your audit, you know how to turn your system on and off, you can start playing with how long you irrigate. So if you were watering for a total of 30 minutes, dropping your time by 10% is just 3 minutes. 30 minutes to 27 minutes, I promise you, you will not see a difference in your lawn health. Then push it to 20% and go to 24 minutes. See how far it goes until you notice changes, or you notice the people you live with start making comments and things like that. So,
your neighbors.
Yes, your neighbors.
During this dry spring, a lot of people might be thinking, yeah, this is a good time to rip out my bluegrass lawn and, plant something a little more drought tolerant, a different type of turf grass. Does it make sense to plant new turf right now?
I think it depends on what you want to go from and what you plan to plant in the long run. So if you think about it, going from, if you want to plant sod, so strips of grass, that will take a lot less time to get established than planting from seed. So if we do have water restrictions, or you have to pull a permit in order to water, you might not be able to get things established. Plus, there's a lot of gaps. There's some weed seeds that you need to address and things like that. So I think a conversion, if you have made a plan and you have a really solid idea of what you want to do, it could be done. But I would also say that it could wait. It could wait till the fall. It could wait till next year. It gives you some time to really decide what species you want to plant and go from there.
So if you're looking for an excuse to not do that project, here you go.
I'm giving you full permission.
You have permission from Alison O'Connor. Well, Alison, this has been so helpful. Alison O'Connor is a horticulture specialist with CSU Extension. Alison, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
Lawn care tips for a warm, dry year. By the way, if you're thinking of planting new turf to withstand a warmer, drier Colorado climate, there's a list of recommended turf grasses from the CSU Extension. Find a link in our show notes and at kunc.org. Our conversation with Alison was from In The NoCo's first live episode, recorded last week in Fort Collins. We'll share more advice and interviews from that night in the weeks ahead. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.